She called me trouble. Yet somehow, she couldn't keep me out. The story begins on an ordinary afternoon that feels anything but ordinary the moment he steps into the quaint, sunlit bookstore tucked into the corner of a quiet street. The male narrator, 25, casually dressed in a light jacket and jeans, isn't expecting anything unusual. Yet the moment the door swings open, a subtle shift happens. A soft chime of the bell above the door signaling more than just his arrival. He's scanning the shelves for a book he's meant to pick up, but then he notices her. A woman in her early 40s, poised and effortlessly graceful. There's a confidence in the way she moves between the aisles, yet her eyes carry a softness, a quiet vulnerability that seems at odds with her sharp elegance. She looks up, notices him staring, and a small, almost imperceptible smirk plays at the corner of her lips. "You're trouble, you know that?" she says lightly, her voice warm but teasing, catching him completely off guard. Her words aren't an accusation, they're a challenge. His heart stutters at the sound, not because he feels guilty, but because her tone hints at a familiarity he doesn't yet understand. It's playful, but it lingers, hanging between them like a delicate thread. As they reach for the same book on the top shelf, their hands brush. A fleeting touch, brief but electric. He notices the subtle warmth of her skin against his fingertips, and the small shock of connection sends an unexpected jolt through him. She doesn't pull away, not immediately. She lets the contact linger for a heartbeat longer than polite, almost testing him. He's aware of her presence in a way that's sudden and overwhelming. The faint scent of her perfume, floral and soft, mingling with the comforting smell of old pages and coffee from the nearby cafe. He tries to compose himself, clearing his throat awkwardly, but she tilts her head slightly, her eyes sparkling with amusement. There's no rush in her movements. Everything about her exudes a calm confidence, as if she knows exactly the effect she has. He catches himself staring, feeling the subtle pull of attraction. Yet there's something more: curiosity, intrigue, a desire to know her beyond this brief encounter. "Looks like you're going to have to share it with me," she says, nodding toward the book. Her smile softens, and in that moment, the tension between them shifts from playful challenge to something quietly intimate. There's no grand gesture, no immediate confession, just the gentle brush of hands and a shared smile that carries the weight of unspoken possibilities. As he finally picks up the book, their fingers part, but the warmth remains, leaving a lingering awareness that something significant has begun. Internally, he can't stop thinking, who is she? Why does she feel so magnetic? Even as she returns to browsing, glancing back occasionally, the spark between them has ignited. This encounter is brief, yet it leaves him unsettled, aware that ordinary days may never feel ordinary again. From the audience's perspective, the first part establishes tension, curiosity, and attraction. The subtle touch, lingering glances, and playful teasing set the stage for a slow-burning connection, letting viewers feel the excitement of a chance encounter that might change everything. The charm of a slow-burning connection lies in its subtlety, and this part leans into the magic of coincidence and curiosity. After their first encounter at the bookstore, he can't shake the memory of her teasing smile, the playful spark in her eyes, and the brief brush of their hands. Yet, life has a funny way of nudging two people together when the universe senses something worth exploring. It begins in small, unexpected ways. One morning, he finds her in the same corner cafe he frequents, sitting alone with a cup of steaming coffee and a worn notebook. She glances up from her writing, and for a heartbeat, their eyes meet. She offers a small, almost mischievous smile, as if silently acknowledging that their paths continue to cross for a reason. The air between them is charged with subtle energy. It's not just recognition. It's an unspoken understanding, the seed of curiosity sprouting quietly. Over the next few days, chance encounters keep happening. A weekend stroll in the park, and there she is, feeding the birds on the edge of a fountain, her hair catching the sunlight like strands of gold. Another time, he spots her at a local farmer's market, examining fresh produce with thoughtful attention. Each encounter is brief, often casual, yet the moments linger. A shared glance, the accidental touch of arms as they navigate narrow aisles, a fleeting brush of fingers when passing a book or basket. It's all small, but for him, every detail is amplified. Sensory richness defines these meetings. He notices the subtle shift in her posture when she's aware of him watching, the warmth radiating from her presence, the faint scent of her perfume mingling with the earthy aroma of the outdoors or the comforting smell of freshly baked bread. Her laughter, light and melodic, echoes in his ears long after she's gone. The smallest gestures, a tilt of her head, a teasing quip, the way she tucks a strand of hair behind her ear, send ripples through his awareness. Internally, he struggles to understand what these encounters mean. Is it genuine interest, coincidence, or just polite friendliness? The uncertainty heightens the tension, as he finds himself anticipating these moments with a mix of excitement and nervousness. For her, it's similar. There's an intrigue in his quiet observation, the way he notices details most people overlook. She can't deny the warmth that blooms in her chest whenever he's near, even if she pretends otherwise with casual jokes or a teasing remark. Narratively, this part is about building connection through shared, natural moments rather than overt gestures. The audience begins to sense a rhythm. Repeated, small touches, lingering glances, the subtle dance of proximity and space. Every encounter adds depth to their curiosity and attraction, without the need for words to define it. It's a slow but intentional emotional layering that sets the foundation for intimacy later. By the end of this section, the viewers are fully invested in the tension between them. The male narrator is captivated, increasingly aware of how effortlessly she draws his attention. She, in turn, is quietly intrigued by his sincerity and observant nature. Their paths continue to cross, each meeting reinforcing the magnetic pull neither wants to admit, but both feel intensely. The stage is set for emotional intimacy, teasingly out of reach, and primed for the moments of connection to come. By now, the playful tension between them has grown into something quietly magnetic. Their repeated, seemingly coincidental encounters have left the male narrator, 25, both intrigued and slightly restless. He finds himself replaying her smile, the light in her eyes, the warmth in her voice. But this part of the story shifts from fleeting public moments to more private, intimate spaces, where emotional depth begins to emerge. It happens unexpectedly. He's helping her carry a small stack of books from her apartment building's entrance to her flat. She thanks him, her voice soft, and for a brief moment, their hands brush as she steadies the top book. That lingering touch sends an unmistakable jolt through him. A mixture of warmth, excitement, and something unspoken. She notices it too. Her gaze holds his a fraction longer than necessary, a quiet acknowledgement of the tension simmering between them. As they step into her apartment, the scent of vanilla and old wood envelopes him. It's a comforting, personal space that somehow makes him feel more connected to her than in the public places where they've met. She gestures toward a small table by the window, offering him coffee. The sunlight filters through sheer curtains, creating soft patterns on the floor, and he becomes acutely aware of the subtle grace in her movements. The way she pours coffee, the way her fingers linger on the cup's handle, the gentle sway of her hair as she tucks it behind her ear. The conversation drifts naturally, moving from books and movies to stories of their past. He listens, captivated not just by her words, but by the subtle inflections, the pauses, the way her eyes seem to open up as she shares something personal. She laughs softly at a memory, and the sound rings like a small bell in the quiet room. Their shoulders brush accidentally, a warm contact that neither moves away from, and for a fleeting moment, the world outside seems to vanish. He notices the quiet vulnerability in her. Small gestures that reveal more than words ever could. Perhaps it's the way she shifts slightly closer when he shares something personal, or the soft, reflective look in her eyes when she pauses mid-sentence. For him, this is intoxicating, far more compelling than the playful teasing of their first encounters. He begins to realize that the attraction isn't just physical. It's deeply emotional, rooted in the way she makes him feel seen and understood. The narrative here focuses on subtle physical cues and sensory detail. The warmth of her hand near his, the the soft clink of coffee cups, the faint scent of her perfume mingling with the aroma of freshly brewed coffee, and the quiet intimacy of shared space. Each moment strengthens their bond, letting viewers feel the slow-burn tension that is building beneath the surface. Internally, both wrestle with hesitation. He wants to reach for her hand, to bridge the distance physically, yet holds back, afraid of overstepping. She senses the restraint and feels a flutter of anticipation, unsure if he's willing to take the next step. This mutual hesitancy is the emotional heartbeat of the scene, creating a palpable tension that keeps the audience invested. By the end of this segment, the foundation for deep emotional intimacy has been laid. The audience can sense that their connection has moved beyond flirtation. There's a quiet understanding, a trust forming, and a shared awareness of the attraction that has been building steadily. These private moments make the eventual emotional breakthroughs feel inevitable and satisfying, setting the stage for the romance to deepen further. Why now? Their connection has grown beyond playful encounters and quiet observations. It has deepened into something emotionally charged yet unspoken. The male narrator, 25, feels a magnetic pull toward her, while she, 42, carries an equally undeniable awareness of his presence. This part of the story is about tension and near confession, where words are secondary to the electricity of proximity, touch, and shared vulnerability. It begins with an invitation. She asks him over to her apartment under the guise of sharing coffee and discussing a book they both love. The invitation itself is casual, but there's an unspoken weight to it, an intimate undertone that neither can ignore. As he steps inside, he notices the warmth of her living space, soft light filtering through curtains, the faint scent of vanilla and jasmine, the comforting clutter of books and personal mementos. Everything feels lived in yet carefully curated, revealing her personality without a single word. Their conversation flows effortlessly at first, covering favorite novels and stories of childhood. But slowly, it drifts to more personal territories. Past regrets, small victories, fleeting moments that shaped who they are. As he listens, he notices the subtle vulnerability in her expressions. The slight quiver of her lips when recalling something bittersweet, the softening of her gaze when she looks at him. It's intimate, raw, and magnetic. Then comes the moment, the near confession. He reaches for her hand to emphasize a point, and for a heartbeat, time seems to pause. Her hand remains in his, fingers brushing against his palm, and the warmth is electric. Neither speaks immediately. The silence stretches, charged with anticipation. She doesn't pull away, yet neither does she speak the words both of them are thinking. The tension is thick but gentle, a tender push and pull that the audience can feel deep in their chest. Sensory details heighten the intimacy. The warmth of her hand against his, the soft rustle of her sweater as she shifts slightly closer, the subtle perfume that lingers in the air, and the quiet sound of coffee gently clinking against the saucer, all create a sensory bubble that isolates them from the outside world. He can feel his heartbeat in his throat. She notices the slight tremor of his hand and smiles faintly, almost imperceptibly. Internally, both struggle with the desire to act versus the fear of vulnerability. He wonders if reaching too far might disrupt the fragile intimacy they've built. She hesitates, unsure if his restraint comes from caution or disinterest. The tension is exquisite, a slow-burning ache that leaves both of them acutely aware of each other's presence and the possibilities lingering just beyond reach. Narratively, this is the emotional climax of restraint, the first time their feelings brush against expression without spilling over. For the audience, it is heart-stopping and relatable. The longing, hesitation, and unspoken desire resonate deeply, building anticipation for the moment when their feelings will finally be articulated. By the end of the segment, viewers are fully invested in their connection. The spark has grown into a flame quietly threatening to ignite. The audience feels the weight of unspoken confession, the magnetic pull between them, and the tantalizing question: when will they finally bridge the gap between desire and expression? This sets the stage for the emotional confrontation and acknowledgement that follows in the next part. After the simmering tension of their near confession, the connection between them is undeniable, but real life, pride, and miscommunication begin to test their bond. This part explores hesitation, misunderstanding, and emotional frustration, deepening the story while keeping the slow-burn romance compelling. It begins with a simple misunderstanding. He notices a moment of distance in her eyes during their next meeting, a fleeting hesitation, a polite smile instead of the warmth he had come to expect. He misreads it as disinterest, interpreting her careful gestures as a subtle rejection. Internally, he battles frustration and disappointment, the lingering memory of their shared touches and intimate moments clashing with this sudden coolness. He wonders, was I imagining it all? Meanwhile, she, too, interprets his behavior through a lens of uncertainty. His quieter demeanor, the slight avoidance of physical closeness, the way he seems hesitant to meet her gaze fully, all signal to her a lack of courage to embrace what's between them. She feels a sting of rejection, though it's unspoken, and the warmth that once radiated in his presence now feels slightly out of reach. They meet at a cafe, a place that has become their casual haven. The usual ease between them feels off. The accidental brushes of hands are fewer. Smiles are cautious, polite, rather than playful. When he opens his mouth to speak, words falter, leaving silence hanging like a fragile glass between them. She shifts in her seat, subconsciously closing the small physical gap that had once invited connection. Sensory details amplify the tension. The clink of coffee cups sounds louder than usual. The aroma of freshly baked pastries seems almost foreign. The sunlight streaming through the windows feels harsher, highlighting the distance between them. Even the subtle warmth of their previous encounters is absent. The shared space now feels crowded with unspoken worries. Internally, both struggle with vulnerability. He wants to reach for her hand, to break the ice with a familiar touch, but pride and fear of misreading her intentions hold him back. She, on the other hand, longs to bridge the emotional gap, but worries that doing so might seem desperate or force the issue. This mutual hesitation creates a slow-building tension that is almost unbearable, not for the lack of desire, but because neither knows how to navigate the fragile emotions at play. Narratively, this segment is crucial. It tests the strength of their connection, showing that romance isn't always straightforward. The audience sees the realistic push and pull of emotions. Desire, fear, pride, and misunderstanding all interacting naturally. It highlights the depth of their bond, making eventual reconciliation more satisfying. By the end of this part, viewers feel the sting of unresolved tension. The emotional setback is tangible, leaving the audience longing for resolution. Both characters are acutely aware of what they want but unsure how to reach it. This moment of conflict serves as the pressure cooker for the next part, where vulnerability and honesty will finally bring them closer. The story reaches its emotional peak in this part. After weeks of teasing tension, subtle touches, and misread signals, the connection between the male narrator, 25, and the woman, 42, is finally ready to break through into full acknowledgement. This segment is about honest emotion, release of hesitation, and tender intimacy, carefully balancing slow-burn romance with YouTube-safe affection. It begins with a quiet evening walk along a tree-lined street, the fading sunlight casting long shadows and bathing the scene in a soft, golden glow. They are walking side by side, their shoulders occasionally brushing, each aware of the proximity and the magnetic pull it creates. Neither speaks immediately. Words feel unnecessary in the warmth of the shared silence. The tension has been building like a held breath, and now it becomes almost tangible. His hand brushes against hers, lightly at first, testing the boundary. She doesn't pull away. Instead, she subtly adjusts her pace, letting the contact linger. There's a thrill in the simplicity of it, a conversation of fingers and palms, conveying more than words could ever capture. Finally, he speaks, his voice steady but carrying the weight of vulnerability he has struggled to express. "I can't stop thinking about you. I don't want to hide it anymore." His words hang in the air, fragile yet powerful. She pauses, a soft smile spreading across her face, a mixture of amusement and relief. Then she responds, her voice low and teasing, yet laced with sincerity. "You really are trouble, but I like it." That single statement shifts everything. The barrier of hesitation collapses, replaced by mutual understanding. They stop walking and face each other, the evening breeze playing with her hair, the subtle warmth of their closeness enveloping them. He reaches for her hand again, this time deliberately, intertwining his fingers with hers. The sensation is electric yet comforting, a tactile confirmation of their shared feelings. Sensory details heighten the intimacy of the moment. The warmth of their hands pressed together, the soft rustle of leaves in the evening wind, the faint scent of her perfume blending with the cool night air, the subtle thrum of a shared heartbeat in the quiet. The world feels narrowed down to just the two of them, a private bubble where only honesty and affection exist. Internally, both experience relief and exhilaration. He feels the tension he's been carrying melt away, replaced by a quiet joy in her acceptance and reciprocation. She feels the thrill of being seen, desired, and understood, all without words demanding explanation. Their connection is no longer tentative. It is confirmed, tender, and fully mutual. Narratively, this is the emotional payoff of the slow burn romance. All the subtle touches, lingering glances, and restrained gestures converge here into clear acknowledgement. For the audience, it's cathartic. Every beat of hesitation, every misread glance, and every brief touch finds resolution in this tender affirmation. By the end of this segment, viewers are left with a sense of fulfillment. The characters are finally aligned emotionally, and the slow burn tension reaches its satisfying climax. They may still navigate the nuances of their connection, but the foundation is secure, ready for the warmth and intimacy of the concluding resolution. After weeks of playful tension, private moments, and near confessions, the male narrator, 25, and the woman, 42, have finally reached a place of emotional alignment. This part is about emotional closure, intimacy without rush, and the comforting warmth of being fully seen and accepted. It provides the audience with a satisfying conclusion to the slow burn romance, keeping the YouTube-friendly, tender tone intact. The scene unfolds on her porch, a quiet, intimate space bathed in the soft glow of late afternoon sunlight. They sit close, shoulders touching, legs brushing lightly under the small table where 2 cups of coffee steam gently. The air is calm, punctuated by the distant hum of the neighborhood and the subtle rustle of leaves in a gentle breeze. There is no urgency, just the serenity of presence, the quiet understanding that neither needs to fill the silence with words. He reaches for her hand, his fingers curling naturally around hers. She doesn't just accept it. She interlaces her fingers with his, thumb brushing over the back of his hand in a gesture that speaks of trust and contentment. It's a small, YouTube-safe act, yet it carries the weight of all the unspoken feelings that have built over time. Desire, curiosity, admiration, and the gentle thrill of connection. Their conversation flows effortlessly, a mix of playful teasing and sincere reflection. He remarks on a humorous anecdote from earlier in the week, and she laughs. A soft, melodic sound that makes his chest warm. She shares a fleeting memory from her past, and he listens intently, leaning slightly closer, showing with posture and eye contact that he values her every word. It is in these subtle cues, the way they mirror each other's movements, the ease of their laughter, the shared glances, that the audience feels the culmination of emotional intimacy. Sensory details heighten the depth of the moment. The warm sunlight brushes against their skin, the aroma of coffee mingles with the faint scent of her perfume, and the subtle coolness of the breeze creates an intimate contrast. Even the weight of their proximity is meaningful. The small pressure of their hands, the occasional brush of a knee, the quiet rhythm of breathing that seems to sink effortlessly. Every detail emphasizes the comfort and trust they have cultivated. Internally, both experience a profound sense of resolution. He reflects on the journey, the teasing, the misunderstandings, the moments of near confession, and feels a quiet awe at how naturally she has become central to his life. She feels equally grounded, sensing that he sees her for who she truly is, confident, graceful, and yet humanly vulnerable. There is no longer hesitation, only the serenity of mutual acceptance. Narratively, this final segment emphasizes togetherness and security, the payoff of a carefully paced slow-burn romance. The audience experiences satisfaction, having witnessed the full arc from intrigue to hesitation, tension to emotional acknowledgement, and finally to secure connection. The story closes with a lingering glance between them, a gentle squeeze of hands, and an internal monologue from him. I came in expecting trouble, but she opened a door I didn't know I was ready for. It is both reflective and forward-looking, a tender reminder that love can be patient, gentle, and profoundly transformative. The slow-burn romance reaches a natural, emotionally fulfilling conclusion. The spark has matured into warmth, the tension into trust, and the audience is left with a sense of satisfaction, hope, and the enduring magic of connection.